This crush loves the connection so far with this energy of I love to flirt with you. It gives this person a lot of pleasure finding different ways to make you smile, make you giggle, make you laugh. This is somebody that is very deliberately being suggestive with you at this point in time. They have full intention of pursuing you in a very obvious way, but there's almost a sense of kind of like a playful sneakiness about them, sort of like, let's draw out the mystery at this particular point in time. Let's both take full advantage of this energy where you know that I know that you know that I have really deep feelings for you. I got a big crush on you. I really want to have something more with you. But this is a very kind of like special or unique space and time that we are at right now that is kind of like the prelude or the precipice of diving in fully emotionally. This is somebody that is wanting to add fuel to the fire of this like rich chemistry between the two of you. This is something where it is really turning them on, the idea of kind of exerting control over this circumstance right now by saying just enough to kind of get you to lean in closer, right to the point where you think that they're going to spring forth and, confess their feelings or, ask you out or express something more obvious, only to subtly kind of pull back and let you both sit within the buzz of that moment, that energy of almost, not yet, just about. This is somebody that doesn't just want to play cat and mouse with you forever, but there's definitely something within them that is finding a great sense of fulfillment in this. This might be somebody that has been single for a while, so this is them kind of just like warming up, just revving up, just getting back into the swing of things in terms of like romance, or the idea of once I take that very direct step forward towards you and we're actually dating or we're talking about our feelings out loud, it's not just all this suggestive energy, that it's something that I want to feel that I'm primed and ready to be able to kind of not just show you a good time in a very temporary sense, but to really go the distance, really have that stamina with you to enjoy the fullest experience, the richest experience of romance possible. This person sees you as somebody who like oozes sensuality. Everything about you is very like magnetic. They see you in a very fertile time in your life, energetically, creatively. Actually, you have ripened into like a very wonderful version of yourself. And so there's somebody that's almost like, what's the rush? I want to dive in fully. I want to take a bite. I want to experience everything with you. But there's also pleasure in kind of taking this slow journey from where we are at right now to where I know that we will arrive at inevitably, because I am very conscientiously steering the connection in that direction. So give me a second chance. So there may have been something along the lines, kind of like when you were first dealing with this person, kind of earlier on in your interactions, where they had tried to be sort of like subtle with their flirtations. Something might have come out wrong. Your response might have triggered something within them that they weren't necessarily prepared for. You might have been very eager, very open, very like, yeah, let's do this. And instead of them being like, cool, okay, let's progress forward, this was almost something that let this person know, kind of like, wow, it has been a while since I've been in the dating game, or maybe they've just like never met anyone like you with such personal magnetism, such potency inside, who has had such an effect upon them in the way that you do, that has caused them to have to kind of like rethink their strategy, or even kind of just tell themselves like, once I step forward fully with this person, it will be a life-changing experience. This is somebody that sees you as the type of person that like to date you or to have romance with you, long-term potential, that people don't walk away from a circumstance like that the same version of themselves that they were when they entered. And this is somebody that almost sees you as somebody that probably changes people for the better, romantically speaking. You may be somebody as well that you've got certain like boundaries in place. You've up leveled as far as your discernment, because maybe you were the type of person that in the past people came to you and your love, you kind of like held space for people, or you spoke life into people and they kind of became better versions of themselves and then walked away and became somebody else's happily ever after. You might have had connections with a lot of people that you sort of like let into your life, where you gave the benefit of the doubt. Your energy is very healing. The experience with you kind of like helped people to sort of smooth out certain rough edges inside of themselves, but then you ended up with kind of the losing end of the deal, as far as having to kind of just sit there and wonder what happened, pieces of yourself taken, or you giving yourself away in connections in the past. And so at this point in time, this person sees that it's kind of like they can't just come in and sort of like wine and dine you and sort of like speak all this seductive energy in without kind of being able to match that in terms of like practical things in a romantic sense. So it's a fine line between that flirtation and something where you're very kind of alert within yourself at this point in time. Like, I'm not going to settle for breadcrumbing. You're not going to love bomb me. You're not going to manipulate me into, kind of letting these barriers down just so you can feed your ego and then walk away with your feathers all fluffed up. And I'm just sitting here kind of like wondering, was that a waste of my time? What went wrong? Kind of why did I even have anything to do with somebody like that? Things that might have been questions within yourself in previous connections. And so this is somebody that it feels like the effort to kind of come in and sort of smooth talk their way in, it feels like it didn't go exactly as they planned at first. And so this has caused them to sort of pull back somewhat, to retreat somewhat, but to never fully disconnect. So this is somebody that's like leaning in further. They want to try again. They want to try and, capitalize on this moment or this opportunity with you, but also understand that as much as they're like really getting something out of this kind of like art of seduction, this space that you're at this particular point in time with one another, that there's almost a sense of like they have to be prepared to deliver something more than just that flirty talk, than just that spicy talk, than just that kind of like, eye contact that lingers longer than it should, or, a lot of kind of intense chemistry that is very openly participated with in a quiet, subtle sort of way between the two of you. There's got to be something more than that, or there's a threshold as far as like what you'll tolerate, what you'll participate with, what you'll give or kind of share or show to this person. So they want to increase their efforts, not just to kind of like make you smile, make you laugh, flirt with you and have fun, but this is somebody that's like, I want you to know that there's more to me than that, or there's more to this situation than that. Else have I let my fears get the best of me? Yeah, so this is also, again, that energy of something where they had tried this approach. Like, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to be very direct. I'm going to be very confident. I'm, not going to let the fact that this person is like, really magnetic, really attractive. I feel this like really strong connection or this really strong attraction. I'm not going to let that kind of like throw me off course in some sort of way. And it's almost like your response to them, your honesty, your participation, interacting with you up close and personal, this sort of, created like dissonance within them. It highlighted certain wounds or a certain aspect within where they needed to kind of like check their ego. Like, are you sure you're willing to kind of go the distance with this person? Because if you're just here to entertain your ego and, kind of fulfill maybe some sort of need for control, there'll be a limit as far as how far this can go. And so, as much as that might have been something that presented almost as kind of like a red flag for you for a minute, or something where, those good boundaries and that discernment that you've been working on since you stopped kind of like, taking people into your life just to sort of fix them up and send them on their way to be someone else's blessing, the experience of that, kind of like confronting that, even if you're very open with them, this is something this person could sense. You don't tolerate nonsense. You got a lot of love to give, but you also expect people to kind of be pulling their weight in a connection. And so this is something that really kind of like challenged this person, but in a very beautiful sort of way, to kind of acknowledge some sort of fear within and to push past that fear anyway, because the fact of the matter is they really like you. They're really attracted to you. They can't turn away from you for very long. And so this is is somebody that is succumbing to that energy of desire rather than allowing those kind of, fears to sort of cause them to sort of trick themselves out of their own blessing as far as what's possible with you in this connection. We also have, we are destined to be together. Yeah, so this person is very determined to have something more with you. It feels like they're looking forward to the next time that they see you, the next time that they talk to you, or some sort of like event that they have in mind, like a window of time that they have in mind in the not too distant future, where it's kind of like, okay, we can be settled with one another at this particular point in time, but there's also like a time schedule to keep. There's also kind of something that I want to kind of progress forward by this point, by this season, by this kind of window of time, because I know that you're somebody that, as much as you might like the flirtation, you might like this subtlety, it is the art of seduction. And so that is not just something that forever lingers in that realm of suggestion where there's all this kind of like sexual chemistry and tension and who's going to say something first, that if somebody doesn't do something about that, then it just kind of fades. It just becomes something that in and of itself is sort of like annoying or unrealistic. And they see you as somebody that you would get bored very easily with that. So they know they need to be proactive in this. They know they need to kind of like do something more, but they also are kind of like feeling this is a key ingredient. This is something that might have been missing in previous connections, where in the past they could have been like, I'm attracted to someone, I go out there, I speak my truth, I put myself out there. If they like me, cool, we start going out on dates, things progress, and there might have been kind of, something that was kind of missing in terms of that sort of like energy of desire. There might have been longing or attraction or like lust, but this energy of just kind of like yearning, that energy of kind of this subtle sort of like pining for another person or feeling into kind of those juicy energies and not allowing oneself to act upon those quite yet in a very conscious and deliberate sense. This is something where there's an opportunity to have that experience with you, and it's something that this person feels like maybe that is something that can help us to both appreciate, like when we finally savor this connection, when we finally reach that place where, and it feels like they're the one who's very determined to take that step forward, to like announce themselves, to push this connection to the next level, to speak their truth, to express themselves. They don't expect you to like pry this truth out of them. This is the kind of person that, like, if you tried to be very kind of bold or give them ultimatums or back them in a corner, it's kind of like, that's not the way that this works. That's not the way that this dynamic works. They really want you in that like pure feminine receptive energy, because it's satisfying something within, where it's like a can-do attitude, that very like strong and powerful kind of like masculine force, that masculine energy that is like, I will make a way forward. I will be somebody that kind of like brings us to that point in time where it is right. It feels right within me. I'm in the right headspace. I'm in the right energy. I got the right circumstances around me to where, I express myself, and it is inviting you in to this experience where, even if there's a lot that is kind of like not obviously stated, that will be balanced out by things that are made very clear to you. This is not someone that just wants to play coy or, again, play cat and mouse with you forever, but there's something where they're almost following like an instinct, something where it's like they have to warm back up into that essence of romance, or maybe even activate parts of themselves because of this dynamic, because of this kind of like experience between the two of you subtly, and in what has been kind of hinted at so far. This is something that they've never had before, and so they feel that it satisfies some sort of urge within them, some sort of desire that has been unfulfilled with other lovers, unexplored before, and what they're sensing is kind of something that you're responding very positively to, or might be a new or unique or interesting experience for you. So this is somebody that it's like, don't let them fool you if they're kind of just playing into this situation at this point in time, not playing mind games, but really kind of just trying to draw out more of that sort of like sensual connection, that sort of like raw animal instinct between the two of you, that this person is doing that very consciously and very conscientiously, because there's something where it's almost like they're trying to fine tune that underlying layer of what can lead to like a huge sense of gratitude and fulfillment between the two of you when finally they express these feelings, when finally they act upon this, when finally they are giving you some kind of like direct indicator of like, okay, here are my intentions and here's here's what I want next. And that the sense of almost kind of like relief on their part that they finally express that, and what they may sense to be relief on your part where you hear that truth that you already know kind of exists within them. It's like they know that you know that they know, like everybody kind of like knows in this situation, sort of like, okay, this is what's happening, or this is what is wanted, this is what is desired. But this is not somebody that's just gonna like let that go on forever. They fully intend on acting upon this. This is an action oriented person, but this is also somebody that sees a very unique experience that's possible between the two of you to fulfill underlying desires, or to really activate a portion of themselves, or adjust a portion of themselves that is able to like participate with you in a deeper sort of way than was possible with other partners, and versions of themselves even that had never really thought that such things would be interesting or necessary, or like crucial elements within what might make a successful connection, or like a very fulfilling connection, certainly a very spicy connection. They didn't know that such a thing would, like this experience right now is a prelude to kind of fulfilling those fantasies, acting on those desires. They didn't know that that's like a key ingredient. That's like the secret sauce, until they'd experienced connections in the past where like that was missing, where it's just like, I find you attractive, so we're going to start dating. I like you, so I'm going to reach out, and I'm just going to keep giving into this situation. Where they were just very kind of like, I see something and I take action towards that. And it was missing that kind of, that element of desire, that element of kind of just sitting within that sort of rich and personal kind of energy of longing, that energy of yearning, which is what they are in right now, and they know that you are in right now as well. And that is what is feeding into this kind of art of seductions. You brought out the artist within this person, romance as an art form, and there's definitely more to experience with them than what they have shown to you up to this point in time. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.